All right, you guys, welcome back in One Piece. Chapter 1153 is here. The brief spoilers have dropped. I've already read them, and I'm here to frickin' talk about them. If you have not read them for yourself, though, yet, I will be linking it down in the pinned comment, as well as typing it out piece by piece so that you can read it there. So, getting right into it, this is 100% a King Harald flashback. You know, coming off of last week, you know, some people were still believing that we would cut back to the Sun Realm, or it would be like bits and pieces. But no, you know, Oda decides to spend the entire time with King Harald, and we see why he goes from a rambunctious scumbag to a benevolent king. And it was pretty much what we all assumed it was going to be. And it was simply that he met the love of his life, Harald's mother. Yeah, so we start off the chapter with King Harald visiting multiple kingdoms, and in one of those kingdoms, he actually sees a circus. He sees a giant woman trapped in a cage, and he gets mad about it. He gets enraged, and he destroys the entire place, only to find out that Ida, the giant woman in that cage, was actually wanting to be a part of that circus. The people at the circus were actually so kind to her that she wanted to repay them, so she decided to become their attraction. So, you know, he meets her due to this misunderstanding, and he just falls head over heels for her. He falls for her so badly that he returns home to Elbaf and starts modernizing the country, as well as forging alliances. Is King Harald a simp? I think he is. But we all are at the end of the day, right? It just takes the right woman to change a guy. And Ida was that gal. So we go on and we get a pretty hefty time skip right here. We actually fast forward all the way to Harald's birth. Ida and King Harald want to get married, but the village elders turn them down. We already knew about this, you know, but this is us actually witnessing it firsthand. But yes, the village elders tell King Harald that he cannot marry an outsider. He cannot marry somebody who is not of pure Elbaf blood. And I'm shocked. You know, I would not want to be the person to tell King Harald no, right? Based on what we saw last chapter, based on all the lore about King Harald, about him being the greatest warrior, the strongest giant, I wouldn't want to tell him no. You know, and I'm actually surprised that King Harald agreed with them, right? King Harald said, oh yeah, sure, okay, I guess I'm not going to marry Ida. So since the village elders denied King Harald his marriage with Ida, they gave him a replacement. They're like, hey, you can't be with Ida, so instead, we will give you another girl to marry. That being Loki's mom. And that character is a girl named Estrid. She is of pure Elbaf blood, a pure Elbaf descendant. But we hear something else about her that does raise a couple of red flags, and apparently she is completely obsessed with omens. Yeah, she is superstitious, which explains the next plot point, because a couple years later, Estrid ends up giving birth to Loki. She sees his crazy eyes. And because of that, she ends up dumping him in the underworld. Damn. So superstitious that she ended up being terrified at her own son. Pretty crazy. Finally, though, we do know what is happening with Loki's eyes. We do know what is underneath those bandages. Apparently, he has slit-like eyes, is what the leakers say. That's how they describe it. And I'm curious, you know, when you say slit-like eyes, are we talking about slit like Asians? Are we talking about slit like, oh, he has goat eyes or frog eyes, where it's like slit pupils horizontally? Or is it cat eyes or snake eyes, where it's slit vertically? I am really curious about that. And funny enough, you know, I like to do a little bit of research here or there. You know, I'm not exactly the best investigator around, but I did go around to see if Ida, Estrid, or slit-like eyes popped up in Norse mythology anywhere. and I personally couldn't find anything. But hey, if there are any Norse mythology savants out there who know what this is supposed to reference, I would love to hear it down below. But yes, Loki, he has slit-like eyes, and that is probably why he has the bandages on today. I wonder if because his mom was so afraid of his eyes, that Loki himself decided to put the bandages around himself to not scare other people, or to at least not scare his mom, who is currently now dead, right? She's alive in the flashback, but the mom does die shortly afterwards, which we'll talk about here in a little bit. So yes, Estrid ends up abandoning this poor baby Loki, but of course, she couldn't completely get rid of him. Because even though the underworld is cold and filled with giant monstrous animals, baby Loki will win. Baby Loki did win. We end off the chapter with this baby Loki crawling out of the darkness, surrounded by fallen beasts. And he's trying to climb the Adam tree to come back home. Pretty sad stuff, to be honest. I will say this, though. Baby Loki is abnormally strong. Even in One Piece standards, you know, even looking at all the monstrous kids we've had before, you know, your Katakuris, your Zephyrs, your Big Moms, your Luffys, Aces, and Sabos, your Bonnies, or your Collins, Loki has potentially performed the greatest feat at the youngest age. Right? Destroying Elbaf animals? That's crazy. Right? I get it, right? He's an ancient giant, you know, he's bigger than normal, but still, he doesn't know how to fight. You know, he doesn't even know how to walk yet, but he's over here destroying these beasts. And I do wonder, you know, this is going to sound like a stupid question, but I wonder if this is a physical feat, like, oh, baby Loki's over here, you know, goo goo gaga, slapping everybody around, or if baby Loki truly is an omen, right? If he truly is a curse, and that is why the animals died. You know, they got too close to him, and then they just got cooked. I'm not too sure where to go with this one. But yeah, it looks like Loki was already that guy from freaking day one. So now, I'm curious, brother. What is going to happen next? We kind of know some brass tacks points, right? We know that within a year, the lucky horse of Elbaf will die. We also know that within a year, Loki's mom will die. And omens will befall Elbaf. Many things will start to go wrong. So I wonder if that's because of Loki, or if that's simply because of Estrid, right? Because Estrid is over here talking about omens. He's obsessed with them. So I wonder if she is the one who actually gives birth to all these curses because she's so paranoid. It could even be Loki, right? Maybe he is truly a cursed child. We do not know yet. Just thinking about Elbaf in accordance to this flashback, we should also be meeting Big Mom pretty soon. Because within the same year Loki is born, Big Mom kills Elder Jorel. And at first, I was like, oh, you know, Loki, he's too young. You know, he probably won't do anything with Big Mom. You know, he's just a baby. But now that we see baby Loki already destroying beasts, it's like, damn, we might actually see Big Mom at this point, right? Maybe baby Loki does run into Big Mom and there's like a little tiff there. Maybe next chapter we'll even get a scene with Big Mom looking at Loki and she's like, ooh, I don't want to mess with that guy. You know, like, whoa, that guy seemed kind of crazy. But yeah, there's a lot here, man. And, you know, with so many moving parts, with so many characters here, I do wonder where some of them are currently. Like in this flashback, for example, we know that Hardin's already been born, right? He is the older brother. So how does Hardin feel about Loki's birth? How does Hardin feel about King Harald marrying another lady? And of course, where is Hardin's mom even? Right? One minute, it's like, hey, Herald, you can't marry Ida. And then the next minute, he meets Estrid, and then we never hear about Ida ever again. So I'm just wondering, man, where did she go? Is she still here in Elbaf? Is she in the Heaven Realm? Or did we send her back to the circus, which would be pretty cruel? Right? You bring her over from the circus, you give her this lavish lifestyle, you modernize Elbaf just for her, and then because a couple of old people told you no, you just get rid of her? I don't know if King Harald's really that guy. You know, like, I feel like he would fight for her to some extent, but maybe that's just me, right? We don't really know too much about King Harald. I'm just kind of like inserting my own opinions in there, but yeah, crazy chapter. I do want to hear what you guys have to say about Loki's eyes, though. What is with it? You know, why does he have these slit-like eyes? And what direction is it slit? You know, top down, left, right? Is it the pupil? Is it the actual eyelids? I kind of wish the leakers dropped a little bit more, right? I wish we knew more about Loki. And also, what makes his eyes so strange, and I kind of understand Estrid to an extent, but what makes it strange is that apparently Estrid and Herald don't have slit-like eyes, right? They've never really seen this before, so why does Loki have them? This could be a thing like Shirahoshi, where every, couple hundred years, a mermaid princess is born. Maybe this is that, but for giants. Like every 900 years or every 1,000 years, a giant will be born with slit eyes, and they have the power of an ancient weapon, or they bring curses that befall the land. I think it could be something like that, which I think is interesting, right? Because Oda hasn't really played with eye powers that much in One Piece. Yeah, we have your Mihawks, your Caribous, and Hakubas, and they all have like the ringed eyes, or even Emu has them, right? But we still don't know what that means. We've never really touched them. Nobody's ever asked, hey, Caribou, what's up with your eyes? Hey, Mihawk, what's up with those things? So will Oda actually start introducing eye powers, and he starts here, and then he branches off into your Mihawks and them? I'm not too sure. I feel like there's a lot of questions here, and all I gotta say is that I feel bad for Loki, man. Even after all these years, he still puts on the bandages because he does not want to scare people. Or maybe that's the one thing that reminds him of his mom. Like, oh, my mom didn't like my eyes, so I guess I'll just cover them. Which kind of sucks, dude. Kind of sucks. Sad backstory for Loki, brother. But with that being said, though, y'all, let me know what you thought about the spoilers down below. What are your thoughts coming off of this? How do you feel about Ida, Harden? Do you think we'll see Big Mom? What about Mother Carmel? Because she should also be on this island, too. And what do you think about Estrid? Is Estrid justified for dumping baby Loki because of his eyes? Or no, do you think this is an L mom situation? I kind of fall on the latter. I don't think this is exactly great. But I am curious to see how her obsession with omens actually plays a role here. Maybe she does see something that we don't. Or maybe she's just the reason why this all goes bad in the first place. And I gotta say this right here, man. When baby Loki makes it back home, I would not be shocked if Estrid tries to kill him. We do not know how Estrid dies. We know that she's dead. We don't know how she dies. I think that she's going to try to kill Loki, and King Harald will kill Estrid, right? Because King Harald loves Ida. Estrid is just kind of like a, ooh, you had to marry her kind of situation. So if Estrid tries to take Loki's life, I wonder what King Harald will do. But then again, knowing how strong baby Loki is, maybe baby Loki actually kills the mom. But I don't think so, man. If Loki still wears the bandages and that reminds him of his mom, though, I don't think he, hates her. So I don't know if he kills her. I think it's a King Harald thing. I think King Harald's the one who puts her down. But, of course, there is, another route. And we could say that Estrid did die because of the omen, because of Loki's presence. Oh, man. There's just so many ways we could tackle this, brother. But, again, I would love to hear your guys' theories. And with that being said, I will catch you all tomorrow when the full spoilers drop. You guys take care till then. Stay safe. Peace out.